Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie, and today we are talking fabric. And no, we aren't going to sew. We're still going to stay in the realm of paper crafting, and we're going to actually focus today on making a card. So I had been thinking for a while that I wanted to somehow incorporate fabric into my paper crafting, and Janet over at RTS actually did a video on her Patreon account talking about how you can use fabric to make embellishments, and I thought this is the piece that I was missing. So basically the idea is you pick some fabric and you take a sticker sheet, so a label sticker sheet, and you use this as backing for the fabric to give it stability. Now she found this label paper from Lindenmeyer, and it's like a very heavy weight, so this gives it a really good heftiness to the fabric, because of course you know fabric is very flimsy and wobbly, right? So this actually works really well. It is a permanent adhesive and it's really great. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below where you can find this cardstock. Now I haven't tried it with any other label paper, but I know this works really well. So let's talk about fabric before we get too far down that road. So when you're looking at fabric, I like to look for fabric that has distinct images that can be easily trimmed out. That's not to say you can't use an overall pattern. Of course you can. It could just be like pattern paper if you wanted to use it as a border strip. In my case, I'm looking for images that I can use as the focal point for a card. So I'm going to show you four types of fabric here. I just bought these at Hobby Lobby. I bought a 1/4 yard. It was, I think, less than $2 per 1/4 yard. So just something to keep in mind. They often have sales, so of course make sure you capitalize on that. I'm sure Joann's has fabric as well, and of course there's tons of fabric stores out there when you get into the whole world of quilting. And if you are a quilter, you probably have some scraps in your stash that this would work perfectly for. So I'm going to show you the 4 fabrics that I have recently purchased. One is this owl fabric, which I think is super cute. And I thought these would make really great Valentine's cards, which I know we're only heading into Christmas and I'm already thinking Valentine's, but I have, I think 18 or is it 19 nephews and nieces now. So, you know, I've always got to be a little bit ahead of the game. So that's what I'm going to use this fabric for. Plus, look at how many you get on here. There are a ton of images, so I'm definitely going to get my $2 worth. It may even have been less than $2, but you know what I mean. This one here is a floral print, and it's a little bit looser in that it has more space in between, but that's okay because look at how much I'm still getting. Now you'll notice that when the fabric is trimmed, of course, some of the images are cut off. I don't worry about that because I can always tuck the edge in under another piece so that it's disguised, or I can even have it go off the card or the scrapbook layout that I'm working on. So I will also trim these out. I really like this one. I think this will look quite striking. This one here has a little bit more of a vintage flair, or a country flair if you will, and it has some very large pieces in here, and it's pretty much the same pattern, I think, repeating, or maybe there's 2 different patterns. So again, I'm going to get quite a few full images out of this, right down the center. And as I mentioned before, we can also use the ones that are on the edge. And then the last one, this one is just pretty. It kind of has Felicity Jane feel to it. If it's wrinkled, it should be ironed so that you have a nice flat embellishment when you are finished. So what are we going to do? So we're going to trim out images from the fabric. It can be as tight as this, or you could have a bigger piece with even leaving the selvage on here. And actually with these little owls, because they're so close together, you could even do like a whole strip, if you will. But for demonstration purposes, I am just going to use these pieces here as well as this little half a floral from the floral piece. So all we're going to do is we're just going to take part of the backing off. Now this label paper is great because it has multiple score lines, so it allows you to fully maximize the use of the label paper without having to worry about wasting any. So I'm just literally going to take one of the images and I'm just going to lay it good side up on the sticker paper and give that a pretty good press. And that is on there pretty good. I mean, obviously you can still peel it if you need to, but it's not going to fall off very easily. So what I like to do is lay out a few of these at one time. If I have something with a straight edge, I will often lay it across a straight edge of the sticker sheet. So for instance, something like this. And I do try and get as many images as close together as possible, just to make use of the paper. I did buy 100 sheets of this, and I will leave the price on the screen as to how much this works out per sheet. It's really not that expensive when you break it down that way. Okay, so once you've got these laid down, what I then like to do is just loosely trim these out so that I don't have to deal with this big piece of label paper, or if I was going to do even more, I would continue affixing them until I have the whole page covered. I'm also not afraid to leave some of the fabric on the sheet. I don't have a problem with that because I'm probably not going to care about that little bit of sticker paper. Okay, we're going to put the backing back on this so that we can use it later for this piece. And now all we're going to do is we're just going to trim this out just like we would fussy cut out an image from some paper. You do want a decent pair of scissors because you are cutting through fabric, but it does cut pretty easily if you do have a good pair of scissors. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a border because I like that. Especially because in the case of these owls, he's got these little feet down there, and there's no way I'm going to trim those right up against it and have it look good. So another reason why I'm going to leave the border. Of course, if you pre-cut out a bunch of these and you decide that you don't want the border, you can always go back and trim them off if need be. I like doing this kind of work when I want to be creative, but I don't feel creative. And I will often just take a stack of this in front of the TV when I'm watching a movie or something and get to trimming. Same thing I do with cardstock if I'm going to fussy cut that out. And that is all there is to it. So let me trim out the other guy and this little floral piece, and I will show you some other pieces that I've trimmed out from the other fabric in just a minute. Okay, so let me show you some of the items that I've cut out. Aren't they pretty? And then just add those on like a black cardstock. I think this is going to look very striking. And as I said, I cut out partial pieces because of course you can always do something like this where you're tucking it behind and you don't even see that it's a partial. So this was that dark black fabric with the flowers. I've got a pink cardstock here. Here's the blue one, the one that kind of has a little bit of a Felicity Jane feel to it. How cute would that be? And then a sentiment, maybe something to break up the pink in the back, a matte or something. And then I have this cherry wine color. I thought this would go really well with this image. And again, on this case, I would probably just butt this up with the edge, trim off the extra bits, add a sentiment, and this would be done. And how cool is that? It's just a little bit of a different texture. And these are no longer as flimsy, right? Because they've got that backing. It's got paper on the back, so this will adhere very easily with some adhesive. You don't have to worry about the glue seeping through if you use a liquid glue. It's a win-win in my books. Okay, and then the last one are the little owls. And I'm just going to put these on black again just so you can see them. And like I said, my intent is to make some sort of Valentine's card out of these. And some of them, like this one, part of his head's chopped off. You know, you could have him hanging from the top of a card. And this guy here, you could have him peeking out at the bottom. Right? You could put a cool little fun sentiment in there and that card would be done. Something like that. You could stack this guy. And I got a lot on this sheet, so I I got a lot of these images on the fabric, so this would go pretty easy. You could do something like this where you end up with a whole bunch. You could say from the gang, you know, going away, or a retirement card. Anyways, I just wanted to show you the pieces that I have cut out so far, and I am going to make a card, and I'm going to make it using these next. Okay, so here are two of the cards that I created using fabric ephemera, if you will, that I created from basically fabric and some label sticker paper. The designs are pretty much exactly the same in the sense of I just have a band that stretches 5.5 inches across, and I added a cluster of flowers in both. They're not exactly the same because the clusters are different, but in this case I used a full image, and these are two partials. This is a full and this is a full, and then these are two partials. So again, just back to my point, make sure you use all the pieces in the fabric, not just the large full images, if you will. As far as the sentiments on here go, these are from peel-offs. They're peel-off stickers. They were all the rage a while ago. I don't know if you can still get them. They were made in Holland or the Netherlands. And I had this gold one that had the happy birthday on it, and then this one has just sentiments in black. So I peeled that off and added it to this blue card that says just a note. And this one, of course, says happy birthday. The strips are from that specialty cardstock. So if you saw my video, organization video on what to do with my specialty cardstock, one of the things I did was I took my non-standard size to the US sheets of paper and trimmed it to 8.5 by 11, or at least to 11 inches tall, and I had scraps left over, and I thought these would just make perfect embellishments. On this one here, this particular pattern, while it reads green, it does have a little bit of gold in it and also picks up on the blue, so I thought that went well with this image. And then this is just an embossed gold, picking up the gold in the floral images. For this one, I added the black die cut shape. This is with just a scalloped rectangle die that I had in my stash, and this card base actually is made from double-sided cardstock. I had picked this up quite a while ago at my local scrapbook store and wasn't using it, and I thought, you know what, let's just make a whole bunch of card bases out of it. It's not super thick cardstock, like it's not like 120 pounds, but it stands up, so it will do the job just fine. If you wanted to take this a step up, you could take a gold gel pen and just do a dash line all the way around, or even just a dash line around the edges of the band. Might be kind of cool. And actually, if I can find my gold pen, I just might do that. So I'm just going to use this Precious Element Metallic Creative Memories pen. You guys, this pen is probably 20 years old, and I am surprised that it still works. And I'm just going to do some dash lines just underneath the band and just above the band. You could also totally frame this card out if you wanted to and do lines all the way around the outside, but I think this is going to be enough. Jazz. And of course, if you wanted to step it up yet even further, you could add rhinestones or some gold sequins. Might be kind of fun, but I think these are just great the way they are. So I know many of you are crafters, which means you do more than one craft, and if you happen to have some fabric in your stash, take another look at it. Maybe there's something that you can cut out and make cards from. And if you like the look of this, the next time you're in Hobby Lobby or Joann's or a crafting store of any sort that carries fabric, take a look at the fabric section. You just might find something that inspires you. Let me know below if this is something you think you might be interested in. I'm curious how many of you will be intrigued to give this a try. Thanks again, everyone, and until next time, happy crafting.